do believe in that. I do believe that you should take time to understand people. I do believe that that's a very slow process. I meet someone. I don't even expect us to be. Like, oh, we were like BFFs, or we were closer. Whatever the energy is or whatever. I'm like, yeah, maybe the energy was good or whatever. But it takes years to understand someone.
I think it's and the thing is with understanding, right? My perspective is that it has to be a two-way streak, right? In the sense that, like, say I meet you and I'm understanding you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're not understanding how I work while I'm understanding you,
mm-hmm.
then it's gonna be draining, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because now I'm the only one adapting. I'm the only one compromising. I'm the only one saying, like you said, like accommodating. I'm accommodating to you.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said earlier one time, like there will be people. I think I had a conversation with you, and if I meet a friend, and I'm always giving to the friend at first, and then I get tired of giving to the friend, and then I'm like, yo, why don't you give back?
Mm-hmm.
And the friend's like, I never gave in the first place.
Yeah.
Right?
You've trained them.
I've trained. Yeah.
You conditioned them, or the way you've established or set the parameters. That's why it's like I blame myself.
Yeah.
For some of the ways I was, and I swear I'm gonna let you finish. I'm not gonna let you finish. I feel, of course we all have these moments or these relationships to where you feel embarrassed just the way you let people treat you in the past, or some of the shit you was willing to take. But at the same time, it's like I'm looking back, I'm like, I actually taught you to treat me that way. Because the way people treat you is how you teach them to treat you, by what you accept and what you don't accept.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes things work with those conditions, sometimes they don't. But ultimately, people treat you. The people in your life treat you the way you teach them to treat you. And so I look in retrospect and I say, yo, like, maybe the relationship was one-sided, or maybe I wasn't feeling this, or maybe I wasn't feeling that, or whatever the situation and the energy was. But I'm like, yo, like, if someone, and I'll tell a friend this, and they'd be like, yo, like, I feel like I'm the only one giving in this relationship, or I feel like I'm the only one initiating invites with this person, or I'm the only one, actually willing to go to this measure or length or extent. And I'm like, well, maybe you want to slow down and check the parts of you that has communicated at the start of this relationship that, when this was set, when it was decided, when it was being silently decided, maybe you want to check those parts of you that suggested that this is how we're going to move forward, or this is because you'll do that, and you'll initiate, you'll press, you'll accommodate, you'll compromise, you'll give, and then all of a sudden on a Tuesday in September you wake up and you're like, yo, where the fuck is the love? Like, where's the reciprocity? Where's the balance? You like, that wasn't the terms that, and the person that you're talking to, or the person that you're becoming friends with or getting to understand, they're like caught off guard, like, yo, like, I didn't know I had to do that.
I didn't
know I had to do that.
Yeah, and that's where understanding can be draining. I have a friend, prime example, I would hit her up, we go out for coffee, we catch up, like, I'm always the one initiating it. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't initiate, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll randomly encounter her. And she's like, we should hang out. And in my head, I realized that I wasn't initiating it. And I got, like, upset because I'm like, okay, well, if you want to hang out, call me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And she had the audacity, I don't want to say audacity, because like I said, I created it. She had the audacity to, well, it's your job to call. I'm like, motherfucker.
But
right?
That's how you establish it.
But
that's part of the
back to what you're saying. Yeah, I'm like, if you look at you can scroll through text history and they got the date, you can see who the first one initiated the conversation was, and it was always me. Right? Yeah. And I think in that sense, that's when understanding can be draining. Right? Like, I'm trying to learn about you, and you the only time I can learn about you is if I reach out, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to learn about me, right? And that's where people get hurt, and that's where people get jaded. That's when walls get built up, and you just got to make sure that whoever you're reaching out to is willing to reach out back, and that takes time. right? And that's fair and few. Not everyone who I want to reach out to, I'm supposed to be reaching out to anyway.
Yeah.
Right? There are some people I'm reaching out to, and they trash individuals, and like, why am I accepting this?
Yeah.
Right? And that's a behavior you learn through. Sad to say, it's behavior you learn by getting burned.
I mean, it's not even, some of it's not even getting burnt. And like, some of it doesn't have to do with the people you come across that don't want to understand or reach back or create balance. Sometimes it's not, because I don't like to see things that way, and that like, oh man, I guess, this person's a trash person. I understand the potential for people to be, ill-mannered or to lack maturity, but I mean, I don't even want to assume that. If you lack maturity, maybe one day you will. Maybe one day we'll meet each other when we're both, older and kinder and, more mature or whatever. But
see, that's why you're better than me, because there's some trash people out there.
But to my point is that to my point is that if things don't work out, right, and I reach out to you, and I think I wrote this piece like a little bit ago, and like I posted it and I reposted online because it's got so much reception, and I have people reach out to me like, yo, like that really just changed my mind or changed my perspective on things. A lot of times when people don't give me the same energy back or don't create the same time for me that I'm willing to create for them, I look at it as, just because I've been in that situation and I've been in a position where someone's reached out to me and I'm not big-headed enough or self-centered enough to not see that I'm not giving back to the person the way they're giving to me, I can say maybe this person didn't have the time, right? Maybe they're satisfied. Maybe life is full. Maybe what I'm offering or what I feel like I'm contributing or giving or hoping to give, they have that in excess. Maybe they got cousins and nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters and boyfriends and girlfriends and projects and creative tasks and ideas on top of work, on top of their job, on top of their career, and their life is just complete and full right now, today.
Mm-hmm.
And I rather assume that, and I rather say that maybe that's what it is, or maybe they're just completely satisfied and the need for me is not present. Okay, we all win.
So how did you learn to take rejection of your time and space and whatever, your friendship, your relationship? How did you learn to take rejection in a non-offensive manner?
I don't think I see it as being rejected. I think that I carry myself and I carry, my gifts. I carry my ideas. I carry my love of whatever it is we're speaking towards. I carry these things, and sometimes you want to put it somewhere. Sometimes you want to place it down, and it's like, well, there's no space here for it. Right? Whether it's a hateful energy or whether it's a weird energy or an awkward energy or whether it's just like I explained, a fullness and a satisfied or being satiated. There's no space here for it. And a lot of times when that happens in our immaturity or in our misunderstanding as far as the way we work and our worth, we'll try to force it into that situation.
Okay.
There's no space for this. I mean, like maybe you're dishonest, maybe you're immature, maybe you're just busy, maybe you have an extensive to-do list and your life is just complete and you're satisfied, you feel fulfilled, and you feel complete. I think that we still try to place who we are or what we have or what we're coming with within these situations or these spaces, and it doesn't work, and it frustrates the shit out of us.
Yeah.
And it's like, why not, this is an idea, roll it up, fold it, put it back in your bag, pick it up, and walk into the next space.
Cause that's a lot, dog. Like if I'm one, it's if I'm giving my time, my space, my energy, my friendship, I'm taking off Wednesday afternoon so I can get coffee with you, and I'm taking my Saturdays to get to know you, whether you be a homie or whether you be a friend. And you just saying like, I guess like you said, it's immaturity, right? And you saying, nah, I'm good. I don't need that. Even though I prepared this effort, it's like me preparing this big meal, right? And I cooked and I cleaned and I defrosted the chicken and I marinated the chicken and I did all these things for this meal and I'm presenting it to you and you're like, hey, I already ate, I'm full. It's like, yo, you know what it took to prepare this meal, right? And for some people, they live by themselves, right? They don't got no one else to give the meal to. So they just want to give the meal so they can have a meal that they can prepare with someone, and you saying it's full and it's draining. And that becomes, and if, I guess, I don't want to say immaturity wise, but I think if you have the lack of resources or the lack of options or the lack of, let's get with it, if you have the lack of self-love, or I know it's cheesy and cliche, or you don't, the lack of self-value, then yeah, you're gonna be offended. You're gonna be upset.
And I think what that speaks towards is what you say, the lack. I think that the word lack is important in within that idea, within that, and within those suggestions. And that if I don't have a lot of time, I don't have a lot of food, if I don't have a lot of people around me, then I need you to eat this fucking chicken. Like this has to happen. Right? But once we grow and we expand and we take the time to build and we take the time to learn and know and love ourselves, then that's when we have those things to give and to give freely. And to give freely is really important. And I think that you hear a lot of people say things that it's like, and that's where you start to get bitter or where you start to get jaded. Like, I'm too nice. No, you're not nice enough. Because your nice has a
limitation.
It's limited. There's a measure on it. I'm too giving. I'm too forgiving. You're not forgiving enough. You don't got enough chicken, dog. You know what I'm saying? You don't got enough space. You don't got enough time. And it's like once you get to a place to where you have enough and you are enough, then you can give freely, not only without expectation of reciprocity or like an exchange, but you can also give freely deliberately. You can give freely wisely, but you can also give freely knowing that it might not always. I think Mother Teresa said it best, and I'm paraphrasing. I hope to not misquote her, but she said, "It's not so much, or it's not enough that we love. It's like it's not just about love, but it's about not growing tired of loving." And I think that when you sense or you feel rejection, you're like, I'm giving myself, and I'm giving my forgiveness, my time, my resources, my kindness, my niceness, or whatever the fuck you wanna spell it out as. I'm giving it away too much, and nothing's coming back or nothing's working out with anyone or anything like that. And it's like, well, you probably need to fall back and recharge
because you're giving love with stipulations.
Yeah, you don't, whatever it is you thought you had to give, the reason why it might not be working is because it fucking sucks. And the reason why it sucks is because you're giving it, you think it's a lot. You thought you was cooking and you marinated that shit and you defrosted it and you did all these things and you came out with fucking chicken nuggets. And you giving your chicken nuggets and your fucking chicken strips to this individual. You thought it was a whole fucking, you thought you had the garnish on it and some shit like that, but they looking at it like, yo, like, there's an energy. I know that you're going to make me pay for this. I know that this is not coming from a sincere place. I know that there's a price tag on your coffee or your generosity. And I know that maybe I might have to be in, I might have to consider a relationship with you, or I might have to be available at a moment's notice when you want to meet up at a bar, when you want to hang out. I know, like, these are fucking chicken nuggets.
It's at a cost that's draining for me.
These are chicken nuggets, and you thought you was cooking me, some grade A shit. This is chicken nuggets, and so I think that a lot of people think that they're too nice. They think that they're too forgiving, but it's really like, nah, you don't got it. You're not too anything. You're just too.
Yeah.
You're too far separated from freely giving and freely loving.
Oh, and I think that comes with, like you said, fulfillment, right? And you introduced this concept to me, and I was like, oh, like that's true, right? Your perspective on ghosting,
okay,
right? And I remember I used to get ghosted, and I'm like, man, it's
so now we're talking specifically about communication with opposite sex.
Not even that. It can be just people flaking.
Okay,
flaking is a big pet peeve of mine, right? Because I marinated the chicken, and you say, nah, not today, right? and the thing is with me is if I'm setting out time for you and you don't appreciate it, it hurts because I value time so much. Like, I'm moving things out of my schedule.
Time is the only real luxury.
Yeah,
it's the only thing we can't buy back.
And I'm not the type of dude to be like, yo, I moved this for you, and I rescheduled this. I rescheduled this. If I think you're worth my time, I'm going to do it. No questions asked, right? And so when people will flake, it's like, yo, do you know? In my head and in my heart, of course, there's the pettiness towards it. It's like, yo, do you know what I had to do to make time for you? And you just gonna peace out like this, not realizing, not understanding that maybe this person had an emergency, which is what everyone's excuse is. Maybe this person's too busy, which I think that's BS too. And blase. But like the concept of ghosting or the concept of flaking, when you said if a person ghosts on you, right? And you value yourself, like you said, the fulfillment that you have in yourself, right? That the unlimited giving, the unlimited loving, it doesn't hurt as much because it's like, okay, well, they don't want it. Pick it up and leave. I'm not going to text you, not going to call you, not going to hit you up. And it's no big deal because it's a sign to say this person's full. As opposed to, hey, dog, why don't you want this chicken, man? You offended me.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's a hard concept for people to understand. I think that's a hard concept for people to get because, I mean, I guess it's the lack of empathy to say, yo, like maybe this person is satisfied, right? As opposed to like, A, you are not being worthy of my time. And you're not
connecting that with your self-worth.
You're connecting that with self-worth. You're not liking me. You're not validating me, right? And sometimes when we get rejection, as I said the word rejection, even though you don't see it as rejection because, that makes sense what you said, people do see it as rejection. Because sometimes I think a lot of times we need other people to feed our egos, feed our emotions, feed our needs, feed our wants.
Chicken nuggets.
Yeah, but
thought you was getting to. I need my ego stroked. I need to be gassed up. I need you to build my confidence, and that's just bringing chicken nuggets to the table. You thought you was serving a full course meal, but I think that all of these hidden things or all these ulterior motives and side agendas that we don't know are in us are the chicken nuggets in our relationships.
But how do you get
Where the fuck do we get chicken nuggets from? Like, what? It's a good metaphor, but like.
But how do you get someone to tell you that your stuff isn't worth it because of you? Because I think now it's like, I think that now it's if you meet someone who wants to give you a friendship and you're like, yo, me being, after you understand the person, after you see what the person has to present, you're like, yo, you're not really good for me, right? But you see this person's fragile. You can't be like, yo, you're not good for me, right? So it's like a limbo phase. Because you don't want to tell the person that they're not good for you, because that's detrimental if they're already, on the side of the spectrum. But at the same time, it's like, you still need to know that whatever you're doing is toxic. And I think that's where a lot of people lie in. I think that's where a lot of the lingering goes. I think that's a lot of where the, like, I don't know, man, we used to talk for 2 weeks and now we don't talk no more. He don't hit me up. That's where the ghosting comes in. And I think it's a lack of self-awareness and a lack of, I'm not saying it's the person's responsibility to tell you that you're in a toxic state, but I think communication needs to be brought upon that person because clearly they lack self-awareness of.
And they shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not anyone's responsibility or job to say like, yo, like this is kind of what you do when you meet people, and this is the way that it turns them off, or this is the way that they receive it the wrong way. I think that self-awareness requires just that self-reflection. You know, and I think that someone who's taking the time to analyze. Being a free and conscious giver, and someone who's taking the time to look at their relationships at large and what they're contributing or what they're receiving, I think that that person is able to piece these things together. And that just comes with maturity. And that the world doesn't owe you an explanation for why things aren't working out for you. I don't owe you an explanation for why things aren't working out for you. I think that if I feel that you've rubbed me the wrong way, or you said this thing that you usually say to people, or you brought this thing within my space of understanding that you usually bring around people, and I'm not feeling it or I don't want it, I think that that's up to me whether or not I want to communicate that I was hurt or offended or bothered or uncomfortable or turned off by that gesture. I don't have to, but I can. And I think that when you do so, you should only do so. You should only do so if it means that you want to continue growing or building your understanding. So I'm not gonna be like, hey yo, like you're fucking whack. Like that shit you did was like it was a piece of shit ass move that you just pulled right there, and I'm out of here. What's the point in that? Like no, just leave, ghost. But if you want to continue pursuing, or if you want to continue understanding, or you want to give it a shot, I say then you communicate. You say, hey, this happened and it made me feel this way. I'm telling you this because I'd like it to not happen anymore.
Okay. That makes sense. I think that, yeah, that makes sense.
No one owes me an explanation.
That's literally the first time, that's literally the first argument I've heard. One, you gave me the concept of understanding, of accepting being ghosted. And then you also gave the concept of why ghosting is okay. But you gave it in a way that makes sense, right? Which I don't think a lot of people can articulate. I think that, I say my only concern, everything, I agree with you, everything with that, is when it comes to self-awareness is so hard for people to do, right? I think my friend told me that, like, you know, your first relationships, if you experience pain, that's what you set as a standard, right?
Okay.
Right? So I think that sometimes, and I'll see this in people, right? They'll have relationships, and you probably experienced this before. Things are going too good to the point where they question things, and it's like they're looking for the toxic, right? And I see it in people, right? I see that they're in a relationship. I'm having a relationship with them, whether it be a friendship and things like that, and things are going good, and I want to say, yo, like there's no toxic here, right? But sometimes it's so habitual, and at that point, and like I said, this is where the understanding comes in, right? At that point, I need to make a decision to either, like you said, communicate with you that the toxic is not there, and you need to trust me, or, you know, like, yo, you really looking for this toxic and it's nowhere, you delusional, and I got to cut you off, right? And I think in those situations, one,
or you're creating it just so it can feel familiar.
So it can feel familiar, right? And I think in those situations, it's what was I saying? It's hard for the person to learn self-awareness because, one, If I'm not communicating it, they're never gonna know. And B, if they're always getting,
Why do you assume that?
huh?
Continue. Finish B. If they're always getting what?
If they're always getting ghosted,
Mm.
it becomes a norm to them.
And I think that where we started is where we're I guess bringing it back full circle, in that the amount of energy or the amount of effort, I think, is for us is just different on what we're willing to accept from people and how far we're willing to go into understanding before we turn towards empathy or kindness or just an apathy. I don't feel like it's you lack self awareness and everyone's ghosting you and you're not figuring this out. You don't know why you're not figuring it out. Or you have toxic relationships and they're always going bad, and this is what you're doing to create a toxic situation. Whether it's your familiarity with abuse or being mistreated, and how that's literally been a part of every loving relationship to some extent that you've ever had, and so it's what you seek or it's what you create when it's not there. Like I don't even need to understand all of that. I don't even need to pen that. I don't need to speak on it. It's not my job. Because we talk about self-awareness. It's not my job to teach you the lessons that you're going to learn anyway over time. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, well, you're not getting it because instead of explaining it to you, everyone just ghosts you, or they just fall back, or they just dismiss you, or they just stop fucking with you, or you're not getting it because you don't self-reflect, or you don't like self-awareness. Where does it come in that I need to teach you this? Like, why am I charged with that? You know what I'm saying? The universe is gonna figure it out the way it's supposed to figure it out. It's gonna send whoever your way, whatever situation, on whatever day of whatever week, whatever month of whatever year. That's gonna happen. God knows what to do with you. It's not my job to teach you what you need to learn.
So I'm on some self-validation, arrogant stuff where I'm like, yo, maybe it's my job to teach you.
Yeah.
So I'll dig into the dirty waters and be like, yo, no, this is toxic, and
I see you put it on your back. Sometimes we'll be this is just some friendship shit that we gonna leave in this episode too. Like, we'll be at the table, right? We'll be at the table, motherfucking tempers is flaring, right? Like this person had this perspective, that person had that perspective, and I'm like, yo, this nigga B-boy probably spot on what the fuck he's saying right now, right? And I watch it just build, and I was like, but I also think he thinks it's his place to teach these people tonight on at this table what they need to learn in reference to this, this subject of this perspective, and that's totally not his job, and it's about to fucking explode. Because he thinks it's his job, but it's not his job. And this person's not going to get it tonight because the universe hasn't orchestrated it for them to understand that. Maybe it does.
Yeah.
That's
maybe the fight creates a lesson in their head that makes them learn the lesson.
Maybe it does, but maybe it doesn't. And maybe it's just not, a burden that it's not an understanding that he needs to teach them, because that's a heavy fucking, to think that I would meet someone or anyone who has, and it sounds crazy that I would even say this, who has a personality, a personality or a behavior that is lending towards their lack of progressing through whatever situation or whatever relationships they want to have or be. And I'm supposed to be the one to teach these people as I come across them. Nah, I'm just here to love and respect and to, like I said, give freely to the extent that I have to give. I'm here to give an example of what self-worth, self-care, and self-respect look like, and I'm gonna motherfucking keep it moving. You want to look at a picture? I got one. I take some. You want to read a writing? I do that shit sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You hear me talk when I record conversations with my friends, I got that too. But if you can pull from that, if you could be inspired by that, cool. But it's not my job to inspire anybody. It's not my task to create an understanding in people about various social topics or perspectives or a heightened self-awareness as to what's going on with their situation. That's not that's not ever going to be something I'm charged with. I don't think.
You don't think?
I don't think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I meet that person and be like, you know what? You're my job. That's my job.
Yeah.
But as a 27, I'm 27. I'm not outside of my immediate family and a few friends like yourself that I love enough to not let misuse their time or their resources or their goodness
mm-hmm.
in certain ways, because there are certain other things that I have to let people experience and grow and understand themselves, and I have to take my hands off that. You're going to get it when you get it, or you're going to understand it when you understand it. Outside of those my immediate family, those few people, it's like I'm just doing my best.
Mm-hmm.
If that does something for you, cool. But if not, it's never my job to convince a whole table full of people what the right way of, if I would even say that I have the right way of thinking, what the right way of thinking on an idea or perspective is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that goes back to where we started, to where it's like just different levels of what we're willing to contribute to understanding people
mm-hmm.
or to give people.
And we can have episodes for days.
People fuck it, I know. Appreciate you coming through, man. Hope you like the tea.
No, it was good. Thank you. Thank you.
Like the tea.
Thank you, guys.
Rockets.